Hello guys, my name is Desmond and I welcome you to my lesson for today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be looking at mathematical literacy for grade 12. So guys, we're going to be starting from the very first unit all the way up to the last unit, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, not everything will be covered in one lesson. So I'm going to have multiple lessons where from time to time I'll be sending all the videos that I'll be recording where I teach mathematical literacy, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's have a look at our very first unit. So guys, we'll be starting with unit 1, okay, which is numbers and calculations with numbers. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen. So guys, I normally let me do that. So I normally highlight all the important information on this book that I'm using. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm using a study guide called Mind the Gap. So just in case if you don't have a PDF of that study guide, you can just drop me a WhatsApp. I'll surely share this study guide. But otherwise, you can also access it on my website. It should be there, ladies and gentlemen. So now, for the purpose of you understanding exactly what I'll be doing, ladies and gentlemen, from time to time I'll be referring to information that I highlighted in that yellowish color over there. So guys, on our first unit, you've got that information where they say identify all of these keys on your own calculator. The basic operations are plus, minus, multiplication, and division signs. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the basic keys that you find on your calculator. Okay, we also have some more advanced functions. They've shown a square root over there, a percentage, and again there's a positive and a negative. Okay, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that you are able to distinguish the basic operations or the basic keys on your calculator, and again advanced functions. So guys, even though it's referred to as the advanced functions, they are not really complicated to use. They are not that much difficult, ladies and gentlemen. You just need to be able to identify all of those keys on your calculator. Okay, I assume you've got different type of calculators, but the basic keys should be there on each and every calculator. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the other important thing that I need to talk about, it's that part. Note, large numbers can look different on a calculator display. For example, you've got 24,900, which can be written as 24,900 without a space. Can you see, ladies and gentlemen, the difference there is that you've got a space, and again there you've got that apostrophe, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not really sure if in English is called an apostrophe, where it's 24,900. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you just need to be careful that you cannot represent that number as 24,900. Okay, so it seems as if it's 24,9, okay, or 900. So be careful of that, ladies and gentlemen. So that means in this case they've just indicated that you can represent 24,900 in one of these ways. Okay, and again, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to that part, changing the sign of numbers. Practice changing the sign of a number on your calculator. For example, ladies and gentlemen, change 100 to a negative 100. Calculators usually have a positive or a negative key which changes the sign of a number. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, without you having to refer to a calculator, you need to be able to understand that when you've got 9, when you've got 10, ladies and gentlemen, when you've got 30, this is a positive number, okay, which is positive 9. This is positive 10. This is positive 30. For you to convert, ladies and gentlemen, a number to a negative number or a positive number, you just multiply that same number by -1. Okay, you just multiply that same number by -1. What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means if you want to change from a positive sign to a negative sign, you just multiply by -1. Okay, so guys, I'm not really sure if it makes sense, but I'm just going to quickly show you an example so that you understand. So guys, in case if you've got a calculator, you can just take it out. Let's say for instance you've got a 4. Okay, this is obviously positive 4. Why? Because there's that positive which might not be necessary to write, but there's a positive. Okay, so to change this number from being positive to being -4, this is how you do it. You just say 4 multiplied by -1. Punch this on a calculator and check if you get -4. What if now you've got -7? Can you change it to a positive number, ladies and gentlemen? And answer to that question is a yes. According to my explanation, that -7, you must multiply it by -1. So it should give you a +7. Okay, so that means, ladies and gentlemen, whichever number that you are given, if it's a positive number, for you to convert it to a negative number, you just multiply by a -1. If you're given a number which is a negative number, for you to convert it in to the opposite sign, which is a positive sign, you have to multiply by -1. So you can use -1 to change sign of numbers. Okay, so this is the part that I've just explained, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's try to move to the next part of this unit. So ladies and gentlemen, as you can see over there, checking your calculations. Sometimes you may press the wrong button on a calculator and get the wrong answer. This is true, ladies and gentlemen. For example, over there, as you can see, they're saying you will notice a difference if you enter, let's say, they're saying 67 instead of that. So, ladies and gentlemen, in short, they're just saying you might enter on a calculator 67 instead of 657. Okay, so they're just making an assumption that there are possibilities. It's not really an assumption, because it does happen in most cases where we mistakenly punch incorrect values on the calculator. Okay, but guys, what matters the most is the advice or the guidance that they provide. They're saying always do a calculation twice. If the two answers are different, you need to do it again. So this is especially useful when you are adding long list of numbers. It happens, ladies and gentlemen, especially in lower grades. Excuse me guys, in grade 8, even in primary. But in grade 8, 9, 10, 11, even in grade 12, it still happens, even after matric, ladies and gentlemen, that you punch, some numbers which are incorrect. So the best way to verify if you have done everything correctly is to do the calculation twice, with the aim of finding the same answer. If you find two different answers, ladies and gentlemen, just take a deep breath and try to redo the calculation again. Okay, So very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen, that at all times you are careful of what you punch on a calculator. Okay, so remember guys, I'm not going to read through each and every word. I'm just guiding you in terms of how to study for yourself using this textbook. Okay, not necessarily a textbook or study guide or whatever that you call it, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm also going to take you through all of the examples and touch all the important parts in this study guide. Most important, ladies and gentlemen, this is to prepare you for when we do exam related questions. So I'm going to be solving exam question papers for Maths Lead for grade 12. As soon as I'm done with grade 12, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also going to lower grades. Okay, but one thing for sure, I'll be looking for those type of questions which are suitable for grade 11 and 12. Because what I've noticed with mathematical literacy, ladies and gentlemen, they are actually testing your understanding and trying to guide you, so that you use your mathematical knowledge to solve problems. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, Maths Lit, it's not that much complicated. And again, if you follow this study guide from the first unit until the last unit, you will be ready for your exams. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, remember, if you're watching this lesson from my YouTube channel, please do make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification to be notified of my future uploads, okay, so that you don't miss any lesson. And again, when I do revision of the past exam papers, I'm going to post them on my website and a tab for exam revision. My website address www.solvingexampapers.co.za. So make sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's have a look at worked example number 1. The question says estimate and then calculate. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen. They're saying estimate and then calculate, which means you need to perform 2 things in answering that question, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing that you need to do is to estimate and thereafter calculate. Okay, so obviously, ladies and gentlemen, this is our very first question A, which is 467 minus 93. So obviously we need to firstly estimate. Okay, as you can see over there, ladies and gentlemen, when you estimate, you round off the number to the nearest 100. Okay, so in this case you round off both numbers because you're given 2 numbers. Okay, so obviously for 467, when rounding it off to the nearest 100 is 500. 93, ladies and gentlemen, it's 100. Okay, so obviously 500 minus 100 is equals to 400. In that way, ladies and gentlemen, you have estimated the difference of 467 minus 93. Okay, so now the last step, ladies and gentlemen, is for you to calculate. Okay, let's calculate. That means you punch all of this on a calculator and you get that value, which is the exact number of the difference between those 2 numbers. Okay, and there in the end, ladies and gentlemen, they are saying 374, which is this calculated value, is reasonably close to 400. So they are saying the actual value or the calculated value or the accurate or correct value is closer to the estimated value. I hope it makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously you won't have a challenge in understanding the next question. Okay, so obviously the next question, you've got 6,808 divided by 74. Okay, so guys, obviously the first thing to do is to estimate, and remember, from there we've got a hint that we need to round off. So that means they've rounded off that 6,808 2,808 to what, ladies and gentlemen? To 7,000. Okay, and again they have rounded off that what is it, 74, ladies and gentlemen. They've rounded it to 70. Okay, remember, we are doing an estimate of the quotient, or of 7,000 divided by 7, to otherwise 6,808 divided by 74. So when you divide those, you get 100, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, you get 100. So now let's do the calculation. So you punch the whole of that as it is, and the number that you get is 92. So you can also make a similar comment, ladies and gentlemen, to say what is it, 92 is reasonably closer to 100. So it's more like you're saying the calculated value is closer to the estimated value. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that's all I wanted to say regarding that worked example. So now let's move on to BODMAS. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope since primary level you've been coming across this word BODMAS many times. So ladies and gentlemen, BODMAS applies to all mathematical equations. You will never have to perform some calculations and not apply BODMAS. So ladies and gentlemen, obviously with regards to BODMAS, that B, it represents, or it refers to the brackets. Okay, and then the O refers to orders, powers, roots, exponents, whatever. Let's say you've got 2 to the exponent x. Ladies and gentlemen, this thing on its own, it's what is referred to as a power. Okay, so when you're applying BODMAS in mathematical equations, okay, so you first sort out the brackets. As soon as you're done with the brackets, then you look for orders that you need to work out, which is something looking similar to this. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, as soon as you're done with all of that, that's when you come to that sign of division, if it's there on an equation. And again, you look for multiplication, and then from there you look for addition, and then you look for subtraction. So ladies and gentlemen, one thing for sure, you're going to have a better understanding of how BODMAS works as we solve for some problems. Okay, so I hope we've got some, there you go, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some worked example of which I assume you will have a better understanding of what we mean by BODMAS. So ladies and gentlemen, remember, you just need to watch this lesson for the first time without having to write any notes, but just to listen and try to understand to what I'm explaining. Watch it for the second time, where you try to apply your mind, engage with the lesson, and lastly, ladies and gentlemen, watch it for the third time, where you write down some notes when necessary. Okay, especially the information that I highlight, I know it's the most important information that you can even you can even use to write down your notes. Okay, so guys, please do make sure that you learn something new by the end of each and every lesson that I conduct. Why? Because a day without learning something new, it's a day wasted. So ladies and gentlemen, by so saying, let's have a look at question example number 2 rather. So this is worked example number 2. Okay, so we are given that equation, which is 40,000 minus 2,000 multiplied by 3 it's equals to 34,000. So ladies and gentlemen, let's read over there. So they're saying you must first multiply 2,000 by 3 and then subtract the answer from 40,000. There is no other way to do this calculation. If there are brackets, first do the operation in the brackets, then do the multiplication or division from the left to the right, and last do the addition or subtraction from left to the right. Ladies and gentlemen, even though the whole of this that I've just read might be a bit confusing, okay, but ladies and gentlemen, let me not refer to that statement and try to explain using board mass. Very, very much important that you know board mass, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, we are given that, okay? So the question that you should ask yourself is that, do we have brackets? Remember, guys, just so that it doesn't confuse you, this is not there, okay? So you're just given this only, and they want you to use board mass to calculate, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, that means on your next step, or before you even get to your next step, ask yourself, do you see brackets there? An answer to that question is no. Then it means we move on. Do we see a order or powers or exponents there, ladies and gentlemen? An answer to that question, it's a no. Okay, remember, x to the power something, this is what is referred to as exponents. Okay, so it is that O, it represents this type of expressions or terms. So ladies and gentlemen, do we see a division sign there? No. Then let's cancel it. Do we see a multiplication sign there, ladies and gentlemen? An answer to the question is yes. Where are we seeing multiplication sign? There. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, anything else remains. So you still have your 40,000 over there, ladies and gentlemen. Then you subtract, you multiply 2,000 by 3. I'm not sure if it should be 6,000, okay? Then now that you're done with the multiplication, ladies and gentlemen, you're done with your multiplication, let's have a look if we've got an addition sign there. Do we have an addition sign? No. Then it means let's cancel it. So ladies and gentlemen, there, remember, we now refer to your second step, not the original step. The original expression. You can still refer to the original expression, but be careful of how you work it out. So it's best to refer to your first step, because you've already completed the that part of sorting out the multiplication. So now, ladies and gentlemen, obviously we've got subtraction, which is that sign over there. So that's why you're going to say that minus that, okay? And then you get a value, which is that value that I've hidden over there. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not really sure if it makes sense, but I'm very much confident that you do understand what I'm trying to explain to you guys, okay? So guys, let's now try to move to worked example number 3. Okay, so before I start with that worked example, there, it's something to note, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, board mass at all times. Don't let it trip you up. So ladies and gentlemen, at all times, please do make sure that you remember to use board mass. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen. So let's quickly have a look at a worked example number 3. Kepa wrote this formula to show the cost of some clothes that he bought. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is the formula that Kepa wrote, which shows the cost of some clothes that he bought. Okay, so now work this out using the correct order of operation. Ladies and gentlemen, that statement alone, it simply means use BODMAS to work out that. Massively important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, 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 very much important, guys. Massively important, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, at all times, please do make sure that, you write down that BODMAS so that it guides you. BODMAS. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look. So, obviously, we've got the brackets. Can you see, guys? So, if we've got the brackets, then we can work out what is inside the brackets, which means 160 plus 5, which makes it 165. Okay, so anything else remains the same, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else remains the same. Okay, so what you did, it was just to work out what is inside the brackets. Okay, so now, do we have a powers? We do not have powers, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have a division? We do not have division sign, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have a multiplication sign? Yes, we do. Where is it? It's there. So what does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? It means on your next step, you need to then multiply those. 165 multiplied by 85. Okay. Once you get an answer, ladies and gentlemen, then you have 4. Obviously, that is the sign. Then you write whatever number that you got when you multiplied these two. Okay. Then, ladies and gentlemen, on your last step, you can say, obviously, after you multiplied, what comes after is an addition. Okay, if you've got an addition. In this case, we do have an addition from that original equation or that original expression, of which we do not have a subtraction, ladies and gentlemen. So now, finally, you can say 4 plus that number, of which I assume it should be 14,025. Okay, so your final answer, ladies and gentlemen, it should be that 14,029. Okay, obviously this is in rands, ladies and gentlemen, because originally the equation was given in the unit of rands. Okay, even though I've got some concerns of which I'm not sure if it's a mistake or what, but ladies and gentlemen, according to myself, guys, let me just highlight that again. Okay, according to myself, that 4 was supposed to be in rands. It was supposed to be 4R, and also that 5, it was supposed to be 5R. That's according to me, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I'm saying I've got some concerns. Why? Because that is just the number of which it could be 4 degrees. It could be 4 meters per second. It's just a number, ladies and gentlemen. But that is money, so it's 160 rands. So you're adding money and a number. It's just something else. But otherwise, let's just assume that this is 4 rand and that is 5 rand. This is 160 rands, and then this is 85 rands. Then you can confidently work out everything. Otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, you can still consult with your teacher if it's not a mistake or this is how it is supposed to be. Doesn't really matter that much. What I wanted to explain to you guys, I think you understood. So now we've got worked example number 4. So ladies